Anda sedang menyaksikan live breaking news bersama saya Rima Anggi. Puncak Kejuaraan Dunia Perahu Motor Formula One Powerboat digelar hari ini Minggu 24 Agustus di Destinasi Pariwisata Super Prioritas Danau Toba, Sumatera Utara. Sebanyak 20 pembalap dari 8 negara akan bersaing dalam ajang olahraga air kelas dunia ini, yang juga akan dimeriahkan oleh pesta rakyat dengan penampilan musisi dan artis nasional. Informasi selengkapnya saudara akan disampaikan jurnalis Tribun Medan rekan Maurice Pardosi. Halo, selamat pagi rekan Maurice.
Selamat pagi rekan Rima.
Ya, seperti apa situasi di sana dan terkait dengan digelarnya ajang kelas dunia ini? Silakan dengan laporan Anda.
Terima kasih rekan Rima. Saat ini pada Minggu 24 Agustus 2025 kita melihat bahwa pengunjung sudah mulai memadati area venue F1 Powerboat yang berada di Kota Balige, Kabupaten Toba. Dan acara ini merupakan event kedua setelah event pertama pada minggu lalu itu Aquabike Jet Ski World Championship, dan sekarang dilanjutkan dengan F1 Powerboat yang berlangsung sejak tanggal 22 hingga hari ini, dan puncak pertandingan ini akan berlangsung pada hari ini juga. Ada 24 pembalap, 20 yang turun, 4 lagi sebagai cadangan, dan official dari 8 negara, 10 tim itu sudah berada di pedok. Dan kita saat ini tengah berada di area media center, dan untuk persiapan kita kemarin sudah komunikasi ataupun wawancara dengan Pemkab Toba. Mereka telah melakukan pembenahan dalam waktu sepekan untuk 2 event internasional ini. Dan saat ini mayoritas masyarakat sekitar sudah pada di area venue karena memang untuk pengunjung tontonan ini digratiskan alias free kan. Jadi para penonton sudah mulai padati kawasan ini yang kira-kira panjang 200 meter, dan mereka bisa menyaksikan secara langsung bagaimana mulai dari start hingga balapan dimulai. Dan bentuk dari sirkuit ini bentuk pesawat. Ini juga melihat kondisi situasi dari perairan Danau Toba yang ada di kawasan Balige ini. Termasuk untuk cuaca, kita kemarin telah wawancarai juga pihak BMKG mengatakan bahwa untuk saat ini kondisi cuaca sangat kondusif untuk pertandingan dan diperkirakan bakal berlangsung dengan baik, karena memang dari prediksi bahwa gelombang air Danau Toba tidak mencapai 0,5 meter. Dengan demikian, event ini dapat berlangsung dengan baik, dan sebentar lagi pada pukul 11, Grand Prix akan segera diselenggarakan, dan saat ini petugas dan pengunjung juga sudah mulai berada di areal ini. Demikian rekan Rima.
Baik, terima kasih atas laporannya jurnalis Tribun Medan rekan Maurice. Selamat kembali bertugas. BMKG pasang berbagai alat untuk mengukur kecepatan angin dan tinggi gelombang. Kepala BMKG Wilayah 2 Medan, Hendro Nugroho menjelaskan pihaknya menempatkan alat pengukur tinggi gelombang yang ditempatkan di perairan Danau Toba mirip seperti pelampung. Untuk diketahui pergerakan angin dan kecepatannya serta tinggi gelombang, pihak BMKG juga menempatkan beberapa display di sejumlah titik. Sementara soal informasi cuaca, pihaknya juga berkoordinasi dengan Injourney yang kemudian sebagai penyampai informasi kepada para racer. Prediksi cuaca di pagi hari sudah disampaikan malam sebelumnya. Menurutnya event tersebut amat dipengaruhi dengan cuaca sehingga info cuaca amat sangat penting. Ia juga menjelaskan batas tinggi gelombang danau yang nyaman bagi para racer. Jika gelombang tinggi di atas 0,5 meter, maka sudah pertandingan harus diberhentikan. Selanjutnya, ia juga menyoal pelaksanaan event F1 Powerboat 2023 lalu. Ia pun berharap cuaca hari ini kondusif berlangsungnya event F1 Powerboat.
Ya, kita setiap hari berkoordinasi dengan Unjurni. Jadi malam hari pun kita berkoordinasi dengan Unjurni. Kita feeding informasi perakiraan cuaca kita dan dari Unjurni meneruskan ke para pembalap. Jadi untuk event besok paginya.
Berarti saran-saran dari BMKG
Iya, alhamdulillah. Kalau ini kan perlombaan ini kan identik dengan cuaca ya.
Iya.
Kalau cuaca tidak mendukung, kita nyatakan tidak mendukung. Gitu ya. Jadi Injourney alhamdulillah sama kementerian terkait itu sangat memperhatikan info dari BMKG.
Kalau sore Pak Indro perubahan di gelombangnya berapa?
Ya, kalau sore untuk hari ini sampai jam 7 0,5
paling.
0,5 ya, 0,5.
0,5.
Ya. Masih kondusif lah gitu ya. Ya, tetapi kalau minggu kemarin itu kan tinggi itu sampai 0,7, 0,8 gitu. Nah ini alhamdulillah kita kondusif untuk angin hari ini.
Dia dibilang tidak tergolong aman di angka berapa ini?
Pengalaman kami itu dari diskusi dengan Injourney tahun 2023 itu 0,5 itu sudah warning. Jadi 0,6 itu sudah
harus berhenti ya.
Hentikan ya pembalapnya. Jadi kayak tahun 2023 kan pernah dihentikan seharian. Nah, alhamdulillah dari tahun 2024 ke 2025 ini Injourney sudah berkoordinasi dengan BMKG dan mendengarkan masukan dari kita.
Sistem kita lebih insya Allah jalan ya Pak?
Iya. Ya, sistem kita jalan. Karena kita untuk kali ini kita menempatkan spotter di sana. Spotter itu untuk mengukur tinggi gelombang.
Ada berapa?
Spotter.
Ada berapa?
Ada satu.
Yang itu yang di perahu ya Pak?
Di
ujung sana tidak?
Ujung sana.
Bentuknya seperti apa Pak? Kalau
Spotter itu bentuknya seperti kayak bola gitu ya, pelampung.
Pelampung ya, mengukur gelombang ya.
Betul. Terus kita ada WS juga, AWS itu di pelabuhan ya, AWS Balige. Nah, itu untuk memantau angin, memantau tinggi gelombang, kemudian memantau suhu dan sebagainya.
Ya.
Kemudian kita menempatkan display di pedok, itu di media center, kemudian di press conference room
Ya, media center.
Itu
Ya.
kita bahkan di sini media center lokal ini juga.
Berarti kayak pihak Covid kemarin Pak Indro ya?
Ya, dan mudah-mudahan hari ini doa kita untuk cuaca mendukung.
Oke.
Tribuners, hari ini akan menjadi puncak pagelaran F1 Powerboat Grand Prix of Indonesia yang berlangsung di Pelabuhan Mulia Raja, Napitupulu, Balige, Kota Toba pada Minggu 24 Agustus. Pada Grand Prix ini ada 20 pebalap yang akan saling adu cepat menjajal lintasan Danau Toba. Selengkapnya saudara terkait pagelaran F1 Powerboat 2025 di Danau Toba ini, kami sudah terhubung langsung dengan jurnalis Tribun Medan, Rekan Aprianto. Halo, selamat pagi rekan Aprianto.
Ya, selamat pagi rekan Rima.
Ya, bisa Anda jelaskan dan sampaikan bagaimana persiapan maupun situasi terkini di sana?
Ya, saat ini saya berada di venue F1 H2O Powerboat Danau Toba, berada di Pelabuhan Mulia Raja Napitupulu, Kecamatan Balige, Kabupaten Toba, di mana pada hari ini menjadi puncak dari pagelaran F1 H2O Powerboat yang berada di Danau Toba ini, di mana Danau Toba menjadi kali ketiga tuan rumah pelaksanaan event balap perahu motor terbesar di dunia ini. Nah, pada hari ini akan menjadi puncak dari event ini sendiri, yang di mana pukul 11 nanti akan dimulai Grand Prix yang akan dilaksanakan oleh dari H2O, di mana ada 20 pembalap yang akan menjajal lintasan Danau Toba pada hari ini, yang di mana pole position sendiri akan dipimpin oleh pembalap dari tim Sweden yang berasal dari Swedia, Jonas Andersson. Dia berhasil mencatatkan waktu terbaik pada babak kualifikasi di Q3, di mana dia berhasil melewati seluruh pesaingnya dengan catatan waktu terbaik 57 detik, dan diikuti di belakangnya ada dua pembalap dari satu tim yang terbaik, itu dari tim Victory Team, yakni Alex dan juga Tom Torrente. Mereka menjadi yang terbaik kedua dan ketiga dengan catatan waktu 56 detik, beda tipis dengan Jonas Andersson. Dan pada hari ini sendiri babak Grand Prix ini sedikit berbeda dengan babak sprint race kemarin, di mana kemarin babak sprint race hanya menggelar 14 lap, namun untuk pada hari ini sendiri akan ada 24 lap yang akan dilewati para pebalap yang akan turun di lintasan dan pada hari ini. Dan juga pada hari ini berdasarkan informasi yang kami dapat, Gubernur Sumatera Utara sendiri, Bobi Nasution, akan hadir untuk menyaksikan pertandingan ini dan juga untuk menyerahkan piala kepada para pemenang yang akan tampil pada hari ini. Dan suasana di venue ini sendiri sudah cukup ramai. Ribuan dari masyarakat maupun wisatawan yang sudah hadir di Kabupaten Toba sudah memadati venue untuk menyaksikan kemampuan dari para pebalap saat ini. Mungkin sekian informasi dari saya. Kembali ke studio.
Baik, terima kasih atas laporannya rekan Aprianto, jurnalis Tribun Medan. Selamat kembali bertugas. Dua event internasional yakni Aquabike Jet Ski World Championship dan F1 Powerboat berlangsung di Toba sejak minggu lalu, di mana sejak Jumat 22 Agustus, para racer telah memulai sesi latihan dan kualifikasi. Ada 24 racer yang akan menjajal perairan Danau Toba pada event ini. Mereka hadir dari 8 negara yang memiliki 10 tim. Untuk mempersiapkan event ini, pemerintah Kabupaten Toba memiliki waktu seminggu, sehingga pihaknya mengerahkan seluruh pihak berkontribusi mempersiapkan venue penyelenggaraan event. Ia berharap masyarakat sekitar lebih banyak menyaksikan event ini, lebih banyak dari pengunjung Aquabike Jet Ski World Championship. Memang 2 hari terakhir pelaksanaan Aquabike, jumlah pengunjung bertambah dari sebelumnya. Kurangnya jumlah pengunjung ia sampaikan karena masyarakat sekitar tengah persiapan HUT ke-80 RI. Dengan situasi saat ini, ia pun berharap jumlah pengunjung akan lebih banyak dari event sebelumnya. Berbagai keuntungan yang diperoleh masyarakat kawasan Danau Toba dengan adanya event tersebut. Selain Danau Toba semakin mendunia, masyarakat sekitar juga merasakan peningkatan pendapatan melalui penjualan produk UMKM. Ia berharap penyelenggaraan event keempat dan kelima kalinya akan lebih meriah dan disaksikan pengunjung yang lebih banyak dari 3 kali pelaksanaan sebelumnya. Selanjutnya, ia juga menyoalkan terkait strategi persiapan event tersebut. Strategi yang dilakukan untuk persiapan seminggu yakni gerakan SDM yang ada, kemudian koordinasi dengan In-Journey dan ITDC agar penataan venue dapat berjalan lancar.
Persiapan sangat-sangat minim waktunya, tapi kemarin kita telah sama-sama menyaksikan untuk perhelatan Aquabike bisa terlaksana dengan baik dan lancar, serta antusiasme dari masyarakat kita yang sangat tinggi. Mungkin kemarin dikarenakan masalah waktu dengan berbarengan Hari Ulang Tahun Republik Indonesia di tanggal 17 Agustus, sehingga belum bisa warga Kabupaten Toba berbondong-bondong untuk menonton di Balige. Tetapi untuk perhelatan Powerboat F1H2O kita berharap nantinya penonton lebih semarak karena untuk waktu sudah lebih longgar dan mudah-mudahan pelaksanaan untuk F1 ini juga bisa berjalan dengan baik dan lancar. Dan harapan kita dengan terlaksananya kegiatan ini, yang pertama salah satunya adalah Danau Toba semakin lebih dikenal oleh dunia. Kemudian untuk efek positif dari pelaksanaan kegiatan ini, yang pastinya masyarakat kita khususnya termasuk para pelaku UMKM harus bisa merasakan manfaatnya dari kegiatan ini, dan warga sekitar serta khususnya warga Kabupaten Toba.
Berapa target pendapatan dari 2 agenda ini Pak? Baik sama F1?
Kalau untuk target kan sebenarnya kita tidak ada pasang target, tetapi pelaksanaan event kali ini kalau menurut kita dari pemerintah daerah dengan waktu yang hanya diberikan 1 minggu ini sebenarnya sudah termasuk hasil yang maksimal. Tetapi kita dari pemerintah daerah menyampaikan kepada panitia baik In-Journey ataupun ITDC, kita berharap jika memang ini masih berlanjut untuk pelaksanaan ketiga dan keempat dan kelima nantinya, kiranya kita dapat berkoordinasi dengan lebih baik lagi.
Apa strateginya Pak 1 minggu bisa sukses ini Pak?
Ya, kita gerakan seluruh sumber daya yang ada, dan kita juga minta masukan dari In-Journey dan ITDC apa yang perlu kita bantu sehingga pelaksanaan dan penataan seluruh kawasan ini bisa berjalan dengan baik dan lancar. Dan kita juga mengucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada seluruh warga Kabupaten Toba yang telah ikut mendukung dan mensupport kegiatan ini. Optimis karena tadi Pak Menpora juga sampaikan untuk tahun depan tetap lanjut.
Tribuners, ajang balap perahu super cepat kelas dunia segera dimulai. Puncak Kejuaraan Dunia F1 Powerboat 2025 yang menghadirkan 20 pembalap dari 8 negara. Mari kita ikuti keseruan dan ketegangan langsung dari Balige dan kita saksikan bersama live race F1 Powerboat Danau Toba 2025.
Watch out for him, Steve. He ain't going to be hanging about out there today.
Exactly, Jonathan. Miracles would happen a year ago. Let's see if it can happen for a second straight year with him come charging up from third place. And on the very last turn of this event last year, he came up with a victory. Well, the big news for this series in the offseason was one man, Sean Torrente, the three-time world champion, deciding to come back into Formula One. He got a good offer from the Victory team to return to Formula One. He's been spending most of his time in offshore powerboat racing, so he is back and ready to attack, and he really strut his stuff yesterday, winning in sprint race number 2. Let's hear from the man from Florida.
Third. I got Alec on my left and Rusty on my right and Jonas on pole, so hopefully I can improve a couple spots at least on the start and then just kind of manage the race from there. That's the plan. If not, we'll hopefully let the race come to us. You know, this place changes quickly, so the waters will be beautiful probably when we start, but if the wind kicks up, I mean, in 2 laps it'll completely change, so we have to be prepared for all.
Well, with that happening, of course, Sean Torrente really feeling good about what he thinks he can do today, and he knows this course just a little bit, even though this is only his first weekend here, but he's figured it all out. Let's go back to JJ. He's got Claudio, who helps build these Sharjah boats. He's got 3 in the race today.
Yeah, we're down here with the crew chief of the Sharjah team, Claudio. Hey, new boat this weekend, Claudio. How's it going so far?
So it's not bad the first time in the water. The water running okay, almost same the other boat this morning. So little time for show the good propeller.
Yeah.
And now still okay for the race.
Well, good luck today.
Thank you.
Really important guy in Team Sharjah. They're working on this new boat. It looked quick out there this morning in free practice. Watch out for them.
On Friday, we witnessed the largest field of drivers to ever qualify here in Indonesia. Let's take a look back as we focus in on the final 2 sessions. And in session number 2, it was all about a big surprise that we had found that this driver here, Eric Stark, who finished 3rd in the championship a year ago, struggled. He had an engine problem, and he did not get a chance to move up and challenge for the pole position this year. So with a disappointing performance by him, then we get set for the 3rd and final 10 minutes of the shootout. And Ben Jelf was right up there. He went to the top of the sheets momentarily, looking good for the young driver from the UK. And then he stepped out after he ran out of gas. And then it was all about Sean Torrente along with his teammate. Torrente went to the top, and then it was Alec Vekstrom who beat him. But then all was said and done, and at the very end, it was Jonas Andersson who came up with the pole position, his 15th of the season. We are just moments away as the countdown clock ticks down closer and closer to the start. We're set for the Grand Prix of Indonesia. Let's go now. On a warm and sensational morning on the shore of the world's largest volcanic lake on the island of Sumatra, it's the opening round of the 2025 UIM Formula One World Championship for powerboating at the 3rd annual Grand Prix of Indonesia. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Stephen Michael. Along with me, my partner, Jonathan Jones, as we start our 24th year together. And we welcome you to lovely Lake Toba for the third year in a row at this very historic Grand Prix of Indonesia. Now, this place is spectacular, Jonathan. It's amazing. We've been coming here for the last 3 years. It just seems to get more and more exciting. It really takes your breath away.
Yeah, like you said, Steve, been coming to Sumatra now, to Lake Toba for the last 3 years, and we've learned so much more about this region in that time. And every year we come back, we learn more and more about it. I mean, this area is now a World UNESCO site. It's becoming very, very popular for tourism. So we're racing on a flooded volcano. It's about 100 kilometers long, so it's enormous. And the culture and the scenery is amazing. So what I would say is this: if you happen to be in Asia and let's say you're in Indonesia, it's about a 2-hour flight from the capital to come up here to this region. It's worth a visit because there is so much to see, from the scenery to the culture and everything else that goes with it.
Well, Indonesia and the island of Sumatra, a world left for you to explore. Try it someday. You'll think of yourself and thank yourself if you do. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a great way to start the season, Jonathan. One of the longest circuits at the 2.21 kilometer 9-pin turn maze. These drivers really have to stay focused, don't they, Jonathan?
They certainly do, and more so here than anywhere else. So you come down into turn 1, you can see past the start-finish line. Very, very tight there into turn 2, and then you're turning into the first right-hander, turn number 3, floating the boat through there, and then all the way down to the outward side of the circuit onto number 4, and then there's a little short shoot to 5. Now this is where you may be able to set yourself up for the long back straight. Come down from number 5, through the right-hander again. Now at this point, take a nice wide line as they come through number 6, down to number 7, off number 7. This is where you can overtake. From 7, get that boat on top of the water, getting as little drag as you possibly can, all the way through 8. Then through 8, this is where you start carrying the speed. Down that long back straight, you can see the shoreline there, and from number 8 into number 9, barely settling the boat on the water there as you keep the speed up and down past the start-finishing line.
Right now, the conditions, well, they're better than what we expected they would be. In years past, we started this event a little bit later on in the day, and we got a chance to see yesterday. This is literally an inland sea. It's so big, Jonathan. And the wind kicks up in the afternoon, almost like trade winds coming off the ocean. It was very, very rough yesterday after the sprint races. And today we figured out the best way to run this is by doing it in the morning. And it really is really kind of a good time to come as we take a look at the dignitaries that are here taking the parade lap, and it's an honor for them to come along and be part of the scene. They get a chance to actually take a lap around. Okay, it's backwards, but still at the same time, they're having fun. They're out in the water, and they're promoting an area that is so lovely, Jonathan. This is, as we said, just a fun place to come to, and it's so different than where we're from with our Western culture.
Yeah, a lot of the dignitaries, a lot of the government and the governor of northern Sumatra is here. So a lot of people flown in from Jakarta. It's a big event for them here. It's one of the major events now in Indonesia during the season, and I think they're going to really enjoy this race this weekend because the conditions absolutely perfect. There's going to be a lot of incidents and accidents. There's going to be a lot of overtaking. I think it bodes for a great race.
Yeah, the H2O Racing family is doing a unique doubleheader. Last week it was the aqua bikes and all the hundreds of people that participated in that, and now this week the big boys come in, the Formula One boats, ready to put on a show, reaching 220 kilometers per hour and around this very twisty course that should be more than exciting. So as the dignitaries on the looks like a Coast Guard boat are working their way around, and the field of 20 drivers from 14 different nations have lined up and they are ready to go. Tell you what, let's take a look if we get a chance here, Jonathan. Let's run. As you can see, everybody on there, they must have about 15 or 20 people on that boat. So everybody who needed to be on that boat is on that boat, which I think is amazing. It's great to have as you can see, the flags flying, and the F1 H2O flag banner there with the Indonesian flag as well. And there you have it. They're coming back in, and as they work their way back in, let's take a look at the entry list. the largest field of drivers ever to take part in the Grand Prix of Indonesia, and they come from 4 different continents. Let's see how they'll line up off the dock today. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole, Jonas Andersson getting his 15th career pole, looking for his 4th World Championship in 5 years. Alec Vekstrom, a returnee on the victory team, making a lot of talent. Sean Torrente, a 3-time world champion, is going to push Jonas Andersson to the very last lap of this season. Rusty Wyatt is back. He's the surprise winner of the race last year, led most of the championship. Then you got Ben Jelf, a newcomer, an upcomer who's doing so well in this series the last couple of years. Marit Stromoy, with her unique Mercury engine, she's hoping to do better today. Eric Stark starting 7th. He finished 3rd in the championship a year ago. Peter Morin, the veteran driver from France, driving the CTIC China boat, along with Stefan Arand, the college student that just graduated. He'll be in the 9th spot. And Alberto Comparato, the driver who was with Team Abu Dhabi last year and now has switched back to his own team, and he looks a lot more relaxed. And Grant Trask filling in for Brett Dillard. Damon Cohen, who is another Aussie, who is hoping to make a mark today, one of 3 rookies, as is this man, Johan Oosterberg, a longtime friend of Jonas Andersson, riding with him. And then Ferdinand Zandbergen, the driver from the Netherlands, along with Alexandre Bourgeot of France. Bartek Marzouak, the winner that was 2 years ago here in 2023, winning his first and only Grand Prix so far. The veteran Duarte Benavente for the Formula Atlantic team. Sami Celio, a 2-time world champion, looking for his first victory in 9 years. Mansour Al-Mansouri replaces Thani El-Quimsi in Team Abu Dhabi for the first time in 25 years. And then Cedric Deguin rounds out this field of 20 drivers from 14 different countries. So there you have it. That's the field of drivers today. And you can better believe it that the strategy here, Jonathan, well, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because you've got 3 tremendous drivers. You got 2 of the first 3 in the lineup are totals of 6 world championships. I think Torrente is going to really push Jonas this year, and it should be really amazing. But he's starting in 3rd. He's going to have to do some work to get up to the Swedish driver.
Yeah, we saw Torrente yesterday with Wexstrom there. Nip and tuck going into turn number 1, turn number 2. And then we came to the far end of the circuit, and Torrente had already been thinking about how we could overtake him, because trying to overtake boats on the first lap when there's clean water out there does make life a little bit easier. So when he came to the far end of the circuit, down past the start pontoon here, Wexstrom took a really tight line into 1 and through number 2. What the number 4 boat did was he came really, really wide, and instead of settling the boat in the corner, which does slow it down a bit, he just Torrente kept that boat on the top of the water through number 1, wide line through number 2, and then as they went down to the first right-hander he was just ahead, but on the inside, nip and tuck, and that's where he made that move yesterday. Now Jonas knows that that's what happened with Torrente, so when Jonas gets off the line, he's going to make sure that he doesn't give him that opportunity, because as you said, Steve, Torrente is going to be fast on the first lap. He knows he's got to make moves, and he's got to make them fast at the beginning of the race before this water chops up.
Yeah, and before Indonesia back in 2023, it was the first time that we had raced in Southeast Asia since the 3rd round of the Singapore race back in 2005. Wow, Francesco Catando won the race, Sami Celio was 2nd, and your buddy Philippe Desertin was 3rd. So it's great to come back to this region of the world, and the Indonesian people have just jumped head over heels on the excitement of this series.
Yeah, another guy to watch out for is Stark, because he's on the back foot a bit. They had 1 or 2 issues in qualifying, and they couldn't get into the top 6. So he's starting around number 7 there for the Grand Prix today. And the only thing I will say is that Stark is fast off that line, and I know they'll be running a slightly smaller propeller, Team Abu Dhabi, because they know if they can make some moves on lap 1, it's going to help them immensely come the actual race itself. So again, watch out for Stark, number 7 at the moment. I guess we're going to see him moving up the field and moving fast in the first lap or 2.
The first back-to-back Grand Prix here in Indonesia, we have seen 2 different drivers win for the first time in their career. Believe it or not, as we mentioned, Bartek Marzouak in 2023, and then the Canadian Rusty Wyatt came around and won a very magical last turn to pass 2 places, past 2 Swedish drivers, and won his very first race at his very first event. So Jonas Andersson slammed the door on a very unique story after Bartek's win in 2023. That made 7 different drivers winning 7 different races until Jonas 2 years ago, slammed the door on the competition, won 4 straight, and has won now 8 of the last 12 races. So Jonas Andersson has had this series by the scruff of the neck, and he's hoping that some of the stronger competition that's back into the series, like Sean Torrente and maybe Alec Vekstrom, will not upset the apple cart for his team.
I did the interview with Wyatt there, and he knows because the conditions are calm, his boat is slightly longer, Steve, than some of the other front runners. But when the conditions get tough and when you get into back markers, that's where he really does come into his own. We saw it last year. He left it into the last straight of the last lap. It was a photo finish between 3 of those drivers, and he just managed to pip them on the last lap to win the race. But he knows that he's got to make a move there early on, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets off the dock. I spoke to Scott Gilman this morning. There's a lot of pressure on that driver, and he said, we've just been out there on the far end of the circuit doing starts. We know we've got the pace once we get into the race itself, but it's all about that crucial start, and they've been working hard on that. It'll be interesting to see whether they've made progress.
Yeah, you made mention with Eric Stark, who's starting in the 7th spot in his first race since he's returned now to Team Abu Dhabi. Now, he joined Team Abu Dhabi back in 2018, and he had won a couple of races with the Maverick team and impressed Guido Cappellini so much that he decided to take him on. And he and Sean Torrente fought to the very last lap of Sharjah. Torrente won the title, but Stark let everybody know that he could be the man for the future. Stark, by the way, has raced for 6 different teams. He raced for Team Sweden in 2012, then Team Nautica, and then the Emirates team, Team Sweden again, Team Maverick, Team Abu Dhabi, back again. So he's been up and down like an airplane, but he is a tremendously talented driver.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the chemistry is there. We saw Torrente. I interviewed him after the race yesterday when he won the shootout race yesterday afternoon, and he was quite crucial about Team Abu Dhabi. He feels that he's a lot more comfortable in the victory team. He can make his own decisions there rather than other people doing so, and he's got a massive amount of experience. But I think Stark, he prefers maybe other people to do that for him. So it'll be interesting to see as the season goes on how that situation is going to gel between Cappellini, Stark and the Abu Dhabi team.
Yeah, and before his victory last year, he won by the pole position back in Vietnam of a year ago. His last victory before that was in Sharjah when he and Sean were fighting for the championship. That was back in 2018, so he's making a good comeback. We're going to check the light test here. Make sure that all drivers can see it. The way the starting sequence works is they give the 30-second board, let everybody know they're within 30 seconds, and they wait for the lights to come on. There'll be 3 rows of lights that come on one at a time. When the 3rd row is on, and within 5 seconds, they're going to shut them off, and then we go racing. So as we look across, these light factors, standards have been really set up nicely. They're very bright. My word, you can see it from 2 kilometers away, Jonathan.
Yeah, so we've got 3 sets of lights. So you'll see the lights come on, and then one by one they're going to go off. This is the light test that hopefully we're going to see once all the drivers are happy, because they'll have been talking to the crew chiefs and the crew chiefs on the radio, and they'll be talking to the governing body there to say, okay, we're ready to see what happens. So you can see set of lights, then 1 light goes off, 2 lights goes off, the 3rd light goes off, and they are away.
So 2 different philosophies. Jonas Andersson spending all winter long, shortening his boat, working on the power. And then at the same time, you got Sean Torrente. And for him, it's going to be a reconstruction of a dream. Another world title, he hopes. But boy, with this boat today, he may have to work a little bit harder than he expected with that very short boat. But if it starts getting rough up with all the back markers and the waves and turbulence, it might be a little tougher for Jonas Andersson, but we'll see.
Yeah, but he just seems to have had that boat balance well, hasn't he, over the last number of races. And this is a new boat that he's been working on with Christian Målgaard in Denmark. I think what they do is they use the DAC safety cell because that works very, very well and protects the driver. But then the rest of the boat they invent themselves. Not only have they got this boat here, Steve, for the first time, and he said he's made some good progress with this. They already have another boat that they're working on, and he said that boat should be available for the next race. So what he's going to do is he's going to test both of them when we have free practice a couple of days before the race, and then decide which way he's going to go forward.
Yeah, and his older boat, which is sitting back behind the tents, is just as fast. He took that out on Friday, and he said, "Whoa, they're about the same speed." So it just sounds like it's getting better and better. The progression of the way he's worked it out. He thinks about it all the time. So less than 2 minutes to go. We're getting very close. Tens of thousands of fans look on in eager anticipation, ready for today's Grand Prix, watching their heroes as they fly the boats along in tremendous speeds, 4 to 6 Gs in the corner. Jonathan's done that for many years. He knows what it's like. And here in this race circuit, it's not going to be throttle full at 85%, but it's going to be close, even though this race course here can be very difficult.
Yeah, as you pointed out, Steve, it's all about acceleration and mid-range here. These boats are capable of going a lot faster than what you're going to see them here. But because you've got so many corners, you've got to have good acceleration in, out of the corners, and then to the next corner, the short chute that we have. It's quite a technical circuit, Steve, so it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of these front runners actually tackle the course itself.
Very close to 1 minute. The driver is now very much alone with their thoughts, and they are ready as their dedicated crew stepping off the sponson. It's time to settle the age-old question, who's fastest on water, as we bring you the third F1 H2O race here in Indonesia. We're just moments away. As we check the lights now, all quiet, fans anticipating a tremendous start, as are we. This Lake Toba can be a complicated mistress. We'll see how it pans out here. We wait for the lights, very close to the time. There's the first row of lights, second row, third row of lights. The lights come on. And off they go. They explode away from the dock. And they're off on a 24-lap odyssey is underway with over 10,000 horsepower unleashed at once. And as they fan out, heading down toward the 2 commitment buoys over on the south side of the race course, we hold our breath. It looks like Jonas Anderson got a clean. Oh my, there's a problem. Somebody got racked up on the far side. It could be Ben Jelf. From our vantage point, it's hard to tell, but there was a argy-bargy going on down there, Jonathan, and over he went. And one of the drivers went upside down, so there was all sorts of pinching in that corner as we see the driver coming out after he barrel rolled the boat. They got tied up, knotted up, and we'll have to wait and see exactly what happened there. But Jonas Anderson was making good his escape and trying to get through. Oh, one of the Abu Dhabi boats. That
could well. Is that Stark?
That's what I'm
Number
thinking.
6 boat, Steve.
Yep, that's Stark. What a shame for the man who last year was trying to hold on and win here. He finished 3rd in the championship, and that's his first run in his first race since 7 years of being in there. It looks like Peter Morin is there, the Frenchman. So those 2 guys got tagged, and Morin is upside down in his boat. They've had a tough weekend, Jonathan. They've had nothing but bad things happen to them, bad karma.
They seem to be on the back foot all the time. The problem you have, Steve, is the first 3 or 4 boats, they've got that experience and they can get through clean, but then everything else, the midfield, they're all bunching together and hoping that through that spray they come out the other end.
All right, let's take a look at it one more time here. We get a chance to see it. We saw it with our eyes, but now we'll get a better vantage point. There is your man on the right. That's your Poulsen. Now look in the middle of the pack right here as they start pinching in. 3 boats were trying to be in the same spot at the same time, and that did not work. Somebody missed the lane as Peter Morin turned in, and he hit the left sponson of his boat to the right sponson of, looks like Stark, and over they go. Wow, that was a tremendous blowover as they got side by side, Jonathan.
Here we go, and again, another angle, Steve, you can see there. Oh, Stark very tight on the outside, or was he on the outside of Moran there?
No, he
2
was
into 1 doesn't go.
No, he was on the inside. I think Moran turned right there with him and chopped him. You can see the right sponson because the left sponson of Peter Moran nailed him. So the 2 went over.
Yeah.
And what a shame for both drivers as they were hoping to do better. Now, Peter Moran last year finished 4th in the championship, and Eric Stark was 3rd. This is not the way to start the season off and expect to finish up in the top 5.
No, you could see there that Stark obviously was committed. There was a few guys moving around a little bit into the into that first first corner, and then it was really, really tight then between Stark and Peter Moran as they went through. There was literally millimeters between them, and maybe one of the boats just jumped out on the other, but maybe we'll get another shot on this, Steve, to see exactly what did happen.
Yeah, let's take a look this time with the drone camera. Let's see how it pans out here. Okay, he's up over by the commitment buoy. Look for the boats in the middle. There's 3 pinching in, and as they turn, yeah, it's Moran and Eric Stark was sliding out, and Moran got whacked with them. So the two of them got together. Both are going at different angles.
Yeah, it looked to me like Stark, he'd overshot that buoy by quite a bit. So would the boat, maybe the boat wouldn't settle, he had too much air underneath it. And as he was trying to turn it, it was still going straight on. Of course, Peter, who left him enough space coming into the corner, was actually turning himself. He can only see so much of the boat on the inside. And Stark seemed to go a little bit, carry on a bit, and curtains for both drivers.
Well, it's not like your old days, Jonathan, where you didn't have the closed canopy. You could lean your head out, turn sideways, look at the person next to you. Now you have got to rely on your mirrors, and those mirrors are not big, they're shaking, so you really have a limited sight angle. And boy, you could just see it, though. That was a great shot. The drone angle really helped, and it showed you, as I think you put it perfectly, is that he overshot the turn with a great deal of speed. He couldn't set the boat, and bango, he ran right into Peter Moran.
Yeah, I think that's what we saw out there. It appears to be that's what happened. Maybe we're wrong, but it looked as though Stark he seemed to go quite a long way, because Ben Jelf was on the inside. He took a really nice turn through that first corner, and then you could see the two of them there, Stark overshooting the buoy a little bit. Of course, Peter there already committed to turn, because he thought, well, Stark is going to turn maybe 10 or 20 meters inside him, and of course he was out of sight at that time, and unfortunately they had that collision and they're both out of the race.
Well, we knew it was going to be a dynamic and exciting season, but we didn't even finish one lap of the opening round of this series, and already we're scrambling to get the guys back together. And interesting, the top 4, when they were racing, Rusty Wyatt was really putting on pressure on Sean Torrente in that 3rd spot. And of course, with not even a lap completed, you go back to your original starting positions. You stay out on the water. You don't go back to the start pontoon. So that means it'll be Jonas out in the front with you got Alec Vekstrom, the 2022 Rookie of the Year, and Victory Team teammate with Sean Torrente in 3rd, and Rusty Wyatt in that 4th position.
Yeah, and with all that excitement, we forgot about Jonas Anderson, who came off the dock like there was no tomorrow. My goodness, that boat accelerates. And I was watching him coming in through the first corner, Steve. He probably already had 10 boat lengths on the number 2 boat, the number 2 Victory boat there. Boy, is he fast out there, and it's going to be a tough order, Steve.
We figured this, Jonathan. I mean, we knew that the 2 Victory boats, the teammates, we call them the Blues Brothers, were going to be battling in the Blues, and they almost found their way to get close to Jonas, but Jonas has got the speed. So it's going to be a matter of them not dueling themselves, just like McLaren in Formula One auto racing. You know, you got to be careful. And these 2 drivers have got great talent, but Jonas is a man of his own at the moment, even though we haven't even completed a full lap. We're going through a lap in under yellow conditions.
Yeah, and you can see the Victory boats there now, number 2, number 3. So you've got Wexstrom in 2 still. You've got Sean Torrente in that the number 4 boat, which is in 3rd position, and it's going to be interesting. We could see that Sean yesterday overtook Wexstrom, not easily, but I think he just had a bit better race strategy to get through number 1, number 2, as I explained earlier on the outside, and then of course as they came into the right-hander, he had the inside line, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that Sean has got a little bit more pace. How are they going to work as a team? Are they going to let both drivers just race and get on with it, or do they feel that Sean has a better chance? We see this in Formula One car racing, don't we, where sometimes there's a lead driver and there's the second driver, so time's going to tell over the next probably 5 or 6 laps once they get this underway as to how it's going to go.
All right, I'll tell you what, let's take a look, Jonathan. We'll go back at the start. We're going to take a look at exactly how it played out here going into the 1st and 2nd commitment buoy after the lights went off, and off we went for the first lap. A good start there by both Alex and Sean Tarente, and Jonas Andersson got a whale of a good start. And as they took off, you can see farther back in the pack, there's Sami Selja, the two-time world champion, getting a good jump. Here's another shot, as you can see, Jonas Andersson lightning quick as he rocketed his way out to the front. But you can see Alex Vekstrom hanging right in there with him. Tarente trying to stay away from his teammate, but yet again, he starts to drop back just a tad. He's getting pinched as they go through, but there is the damage right there as you get a chance to see the two boats get together. Now, the thing is, what we're hearing right now is there's a lot of debris on the race circuit. Let's look at it from this vantage point. Look about halfway in. There you go, right there. So you got to go around not one commitment buoy, but two. You're turning yourself backwards as a corkscrewing his way through the accident. Wow. Yeah, you could see literally that Eric Stark literally corkscrewed his way through over the top of Peter Moran. And lucky neither driver got hurt. We just got word that they are both uninjured and they've been released, which is fantastic news. So you're going to have to spend a little time in surgery with these boats to fix them, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and that is all credit to the safety cell, Steve. It was introduced about 1986, something like that, so some time ago. Before that, we were having so many fatalities because the driver was sitting with a little bit of fiberglass around him. The driver now is strapped into that little cocoon. We call it the safety cell. You can see the front of it there. He's strapped in with a 5-point harness. He's got a crash helmet. He's got a life support system, so if the boat turns over and it takes a little bit of time for the rescue people to get to him, he can breathe off a demand valve as they use in diving. And you know, in a
that
collision
boat's
like
going
that,
down like a submarine.
Oh my goodness,
they're
yeah.
speeding that up too much, and it's just literally with all the water in it. They're drilling the front end, so they need to back off just a bit.
Yeah.
As we got locals out here helping us.
Yeah, and of course the driver then strapped in with that harness. It then, with the impact, there's crash boxes either side. So when one boat hits the other, that absorbs the energy, the crash box, and not so that the driver doesn't absorb too much energy. And as I said, going back many years, there could have been a fatality there, but because of the safety cells as they are today, it just helps in the event of any incidents out there.
All right, first two turns, the commitment buoy, the accident. Now we're pacing ourselves around 3 laps, and there's 21 laps still to be run. Is there anybody right now in your vantage point you think can get an advantage to this because they're running so slow for these amount of time?
Okay, so what happens now is they don't know. This race could restart at any point on the circuit. They have no idea. But the crew chief sitting in timing, they're going to be able to see the officials to see when that flag drops. The officials will give them no indication whatsoever. But what they've got to make sure is that the drivers are really tight behind the driver ahead of them. So for instance, with Jonas, Sean knows full well that if he can take him on the restart lap, he's going to be able to dictate the race to some extent. So this restart is going to be crucial, and we're probably going to see the more experienced teams gain places on that start.
Well, it looks like everybody's getting back into position. The safety vehicles they've picked up the debris that looks like they had scattered with the accident. So as you say, it could be any second now we could get the restart here. We hold our breath with 3 laps out of 24 gone. And we've been on the yellow flag for just over 11 minutes here. As we can see them all trying to bunch up here, trying to catch up.
They've got to watch that, Steve. If they fall back too far behind the front runners, then they're going to be penalised for that, because at this stage, all of these boats should be pretty much 10, 15 metres behind each other for the restart.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important because, as you say, it can cause havoc as the faster boats catch up to them in a hurry, and all of a sudden now they're playing back markers when they shouldn't be that close early on in the event.
Yeah, you could see Stefan around there on that new. I spoke to Claudio, the guy that's designing the Sharjah boat, the new boat. They've been doing a lot of testing in that emirate over the winter, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get on.
All right, we hold our breath. Any second we'll be judging to see if we do get the green flag as they come whistling down on the far side of the race course. The yellow flag's still out. And they're trying to bunch up the back of the field, just as you said, Jonathan, trying to pinch them up and get them up toward the front. So everybody else closing up quickly. See Rusty Wyatt is getting very close to Sean Torrente. Two North Americans battling each other. And you got Duarte Benavent stopping in the middle of the race course down in near the start-finish line. He's dead in the water, so now the Osprey rescue team is going to have to get the veteran Portuguese driver out of the way. So we're not ready to go back to racing.
That's going to hold things up again for another couple of 3 laps. So some of the front runners there, very, very focused over the last couple of minutes. Now they're going to have an opportunity to relax, gather their thoughts, see exactly where they may be able to make that move. Torrente there, we saw him yesterday, he's in 3rd at the moment. Because they haven't done a lap, they go back to the positions as they were in qualifying.
Correct. Yeah, and Duarte Benavente was starting his 166th race. And he hadn't scored any points in the last 2 years until Indonesia last year when he did. So finished 17th in the championship. Been racing a long time, has a couple of podiums, but he will not get one today as he is dead in the water, and the Osprey rescue team trying to hook up and get him off the race circuit as quickly as possible so we can get this event rocking here.
Yeah, they can relax again. Now, they're obviously, the crew chief is on the radio to all of these drivers, telling them what the situation is, that they've had to tow in one of the boats that obviously has got some kind of technical problem. So it'll just give them a bit more time to gather their thoughts. But there we go. So it's Anderson, Wexstrom in 2nd, Torrente in 3rd. We saw that move with him yesterday. Wyatt, very, very experienced in that number 4 slot, and the British driver Ben Jelf hanging in there in 5th.
You know, 20 years ago when these engines were queued up a little more, they were stressed more, following boats and slow laps sometimes would be a factor, and the engines would get bogged down and they wouldn't be able to get going again. That could play a factor, but today it's not so much the case anymore, is it, with newer technology?
Yeah, quite right, Steve. I mean, a lot more technology now in these engines over the last 5 or 6 years. They're now a lot more reliable. They've actually dropped the top RPM, the revs per minute on these, by a little bit. It hasn't slowed them down whatsoever, but it means that now instead of starting the race with sort of 20, 22 boats and finishing with about 10 because of a lot of attrition, it looks now like most of the boats actually complete the race, which is what we want for the show.
Yeah. Well, they got Torrente's boat along the pontoon and moved him out of the way. Now they're going to have to get the Osprey rescue team boat back into position. And once it's back into position, we should expect a quick green flag to get things going here. 24 laps in this event today scheduled. We've had 1/2 of a lap, and we have been following the pace boat, or on the yellow flag situation, since then. As the field now starts to bunch up, I think you realize it's time to focus in on a restart here. As we hold our breath, let's see if they drop the green flag. It's still being shown. There's the race director, Marco, holding the green flag. He's waiting to get the word from the safety crews that he's ready to go. That's Jonas's girlfriend saying, "Hey, let's go. I want to get going here."
She's got a prime spot there, Steve, isn't she? Right next to the official.
Yeah,
She's going to be watching it. Oh, is that the yellow flag? Look, he's got his hand on their way.
All right, green flag. We're back racing here as they come out of turn number 9. Down the front straightaway, a long run. Let's see if Jonas Anderson can use that speed and pull away from the pack as he's being chased by a couple of Victory Team boats. Rusty Wyatt trying to go side by side, get very aggressive. Oh my, going way out was Sean Torrente. He lost a few spots, and Rusty Wyatt has jumped from 4th to 2nd. And now Torrente is working his way back up. He's fighting for it. So that was a great start by Rusty Wyatt, but then Torrente came back.
Torrente, he just had too much air underneath in the tunnel of that boat. And as he came into number 1, he was carrying great speed, but he couldn't get the boat to settle, Steve. And the next thing, he'd overshot. Wyatt saw that opportunity, and bang, he was in there.
All right, as we watch them as they work their way down through this race course, it's Jonas Anderson heading down that long back stretch, heading from 8 to 9, and then he'll come down 477 meters down the front straightaway. This race course with 2 right-handers is one of the longest anywhere in the world. And Jonas Andersson trying to pull away with Rusty Wyatt up into that second place. Third is Alec Vekstrom. Ben Jelf into fourth, and Torrente down in fifth place is trying his best. And side by side, Torrente gets tagged with Ben Jelf, and he slides out of the way. Did they touch? I don't know, Jonathan, but it was awfully close. Torrente trying to get aggressive and get that fourth place back.
Yeah, Torrente there, you could see pushing Jelf very hard, but Jelf wasn't having any of it. He was not going to be frightened by the American driver, and what a great run he was having there. And so far, so good for Jelf. He's doing a great job. He's up in fourth. Wexford now dropped down to third, and Wyatt in second.
All right, let's take a look at it again on replay. Here is Torrente and Ben Jelf sliding closer and closer together. Oh, they got pinched up in that turn two, Jonathan. I don't know how you call that one.
Okay, so Torrente saw the inside line. He thought there was enough of a gap there, but Jelf was already committed. He was taking the tight line. He wasn't going to give him an inch. Jelf thought, if you can get in that gap, well, you can try, but he wasn't going to let him through easily.
All right, as we watch them come barrel-rolling through here. Stefan Arand is having a great run right now, Jonathan. He's up into fifth place. The youngster started in the ninth spot. He's up into fifth, and he passed Torrente. And the Sharjah team are very happy with their drivers at the moment. They're sitting in sixth or second place and also in fifth place.
Yeah, Torrente being a little bit eager there. Almost turned the boat over coming through turn number two there. When Jelf was on the outside, he was on the inside. Couldn't quite get the boat to settle. And you could see they just tapped each other, and he nearly lost control. But at the moment, Jonas Andersson leading the way by a number of seconds to 4 seconds, in fact, to Wyatt. Wexstrom doing a great job in third. Ben Jelf, the British driver, in fourth, and Stefan Laurent in the new Sharjah boat that they've been working on all weekend in a very, very credible fifth position.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday, Jonathan, in sprint race number one. It was Rusty Wyatt trying to chase down Jonas Andersson, and it did not work. Jonas setting a pace, he won by 12 seconds, so Rusty Wyatt is going to have to show a lot more speed here in order for him to catch up with the three-time world champion.
It's like Rusty said earlier today, Steve. He said if the conditions get bad or when we start getting to back markers, that's the only opportunity I'm going to get to maybe be able to close up and overtake Jonas Andersson. So we'll have to see as the race progresses.
All right, let's see what's going on here. You keep a look right there. You can see that the youngster from Estonia is doing his best, Stefan Arand, and trying to hold off Sean Torrente in the battle for fifth position. Torrente is struggling a bit, even more. Let's see if he can do better. He's running a 101 lap, where everybody else, the top four, are running sub 1 minute marks. Fast time is by Jonas Andersson, a great run of 57.6, while Rusty Wyatt's best is a 58.7, so his best lap is a second quicker. As you take a look at boat number 85, and there's Grant Trask.
Doing a good job out there, Steve. Trask at the moment, he's not far off that, but they're quite bunched together. Stromoy, Torrente, and Trask. Trask, the Australian driver, down in 8th position. But this is the first time this weekend he's ever sat in that boat. So all credit to the young Australian driver, doing a great job out there.
Yeah, he started 11th, he's up into 8th. He's driving that Moore French boat. And he's the replacement driver for Brett Dillard, who had surgery down in South Carolina in the USA, who we expect to see him back in Sharjah. But in the meantime, Grant Trask has taken full advantage, and he looks tough as we look back at our leader, as Jonas Andersson continues to slowly pull away from Rusty Wyatt. Not by much, by a tenth or two of a second. It's still under 5 seconds. But let's see what happens as the wave conditions get a little bit tougher for that small boat that Jonas Andersson's got.
You see there, one of the Abu Dhabi drivers not giving Jonas enough room. He was being very, very cautious there as he took him on the inside. And this is now where Wyatt can start maybe making up a little bit of ground. 4 seconds now between first and second. Of course, what happened was Jonas on the restart, he had that clear water for quite some time. We're picking up Wyatt there in second. He had that clear water. Wyatt was stuck amongst all the carnage with the boats colliding together there. So he lost a little bit of ground. but slowly but surely, Steve, he's definitely helping. He's down to 2 seconds, Steve. He's going to make a move.
All right, let's see what happens here. Getting very, very aggressive as the water starts churning up. It's not perfect like it was earlier. There's still 11 laps left to go. We're glad you're with us here from lovely Lake Toba on the island of Sumatra here in Indonesia for the third Grand Prix of Indonesia as we kick off our 2025 season with the UAM Formula One World Championship. I'm Stephen Michael with Jonathan Jones alongside, and I'll tell you, it's turned out to be what we expected. We've seen a lot of action, and the big question now is, can the Canadian pull off another miracle? Can he continue to move forward? Maybe Jonas got tied up in the traffic and he lost a second or two. Now we'll find out if he's got it squared away and if he can build on that lead that he had.
Yeah, exactly right, Steve. You could see on that last lap, one of the young Abu Dhabi driver there was turning fairly tight on the corner. Jonas didn't want to take any chances. He backed off a second and a half, which allowed Rusty to close up on him. And this is what I was saying earlier on. Once these guys get into back markers and the water conditions get a little bit rougher there, is Wyatt going to start being able to put the hammer down? That's what he did last year. He took Jonas on the very last lap, on the very last straight. It was a photo finish, if you remember. Yes, he did.
What a great race that was. We had a great time watching that one. Well, I tell you what, Jonas got that vibe back because he gained a second and a half, and now it's a tick under 4 seconds, so he got it back as he continues to work his way around back markers. He's coming up on two-time world champion Sami Celio. Celio was lapped yesterday in the 14-lap sprint race, and he's about ready to get lapped again. So you've got a two-time world champion, a three-time world champion. Sami Celio in the 11 machine with the Red Devil boat is doing his best to try to get toward the front again. He hasn't won, Jonathan, in 9 years. That's hard to believe.
No, but a lot of respect there from Celio. You could see he gave him that line. He gave him the inside lane there. Didn't come across him. Didn't deter him in his progress during this event. So we've got Jonas Andersson open that gap a little bit more again on the last lap, Steve. He went from 2.19 seconds. It's now open to 3.48. So as we speak, he seems to have everything under control. 9 laps to go to the end of the race.
Yeah, it's down to 3.4, and we'll see how that plays out. You've got Marit Stromoy up into the 7th spot. She had started in 6th. She fell back, and now she's chasing Sean Torrente, who's in that 6th position. He started 3rd and has fallen back to 6th.
Yeah, they seem to be holding station at the moment, don't they, Steve? So you got Jonas leading away. Wexstrom doing a great job in that. Wyatt in 2nd, I do beg your pardon. Wexstrom doing a brilliant job in 3rd, and Ben Shelf, the young British driver, really doing so well this weekend. Made some immense progress since last year in 4th position. They got to be happy with that.
Wow, it's over 5 seconds, Jonathan. This is the biggest lead that Jonas Andersson has had in this race. It's 5.24 seconds, the difference between he and Rusty Wyatt, who's in 2nd place, who won this race a year ago. So there you get a chance to take a look at Marit Stromoy, and she's over on the far side. She's putting pressure on Sean Torrente. I wonder if Torrente's boat has got a problem with his boat. I don't know if it is, but as you can see, she's still working her way around back markers and doing a good job.
Yeah, Torrente, as you say, he had that collision. Did it upset something in the boat? Maybe one of the systems isn't working quite right. As we go back now to Marit Stromoy, most of the guys out here running a 2-stroke, 2.5-litre V6 Mercury engine, producing around 450 horsepower. And Jonas Andersson stopping, Steve.
Oh my word, the world champion of the last 2 years in a row. Jonas Andersson, this is a shock. You gotta be kidding me. He has only dropped out of 2 of the last 21 events, Jonathan. 2 in the last 21 events. This is a complete surprise. It's a bit of a shock for all of us as he has gone silent in that number 1 machine just out of turn number 1. And the yellow flag has come out because he's still in harm's way. But Jonas Andersson, wow, we thought he was a bit of a cakewalk here, just kind of expanding on what he expected to do. With the way this season's developing, this could be a big, big play, Jonathan. This, with Rusty Wyatt, opens the door for a possibility of him winning for the 2nd straight year. We'll have to wait and see. It's far from over with 7 laps left to go, but Jonas Andersson has flipped the canopy open, and we don't see that very often. He hasn't stopped like this in a couple of years.
No, like you say, Steve, he's dominated not only with his speed on the water and his qualifying times, but with his reliability, because he spends a lot of time tuning these engines, and he doesn't only go for speed and power, but he goes for reliability. Steve, just picking up here, you just see him slowing down there, coming into the corner. So he's got some kind of technical problem. I said the engine, it could be anything, couldn't it? It could be a battery gone down, it could be a wire that's broken or whatever, and that's a real shame for a guy that was totally dominant out here this afternoon.
You know, in 120 starts that he had, he's had 34 DNFs, but he had a real problem early on in his career finishing races. Well, he's fine-tuned that, and as I said, it's been like 3 years since the last time he came to a stop. Well, look what happened. It's the old bugaboo. Maybe he's got the little Indonesia bad luck syndrome going.
And the thing was, with only 6 laps to go, he couldn't back off that much, because Wyatt was holding position against him in that second slot. It was 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So normally with 6 to go, you know, you've generally got enough of a gap, a cushion where you can sort of not quite put so much pressure on the equipment. But he had to push all the way, because once Wyatt got going, although he didn't have a brilliant start, once he got going, his speed out on the circuit between him and Jonas was literally a tenth or two per lap.
Ben Jelf sitting in that 3rd spot. And for Ben Jelf, this would be a big, big day for him. This is his 14th start. He has never had a top 5 or a top 3.
What they've got to watch, though, Steve, is, like you said before, it's never over till it's over. So we're going to get another restart once they've got Jonas out of the way. So Ben has got to make sure, I think he's got his dad on the radio to him, that's what I understand. So he's got to make sure his dad, who's got massive amount of experience, that he can get this start right. Because Stefan Arand, you can see him just behind him there, he's not going to give Ben an inch. So, but having said that, no, is Wexstrom going to give Rusty any space there? So it's going to be a real interesting restart here.
Yeah, these are 2 Rookie of the Years fighting here. And Rusty Wyatt, as you see him, the Iceman from Ontario, Canada, came over after 4 years of racing in North America and just shocked the world last year as he won on the very last corner down in turn 9 and passed both Stark and Jonas Andersson to win. And of course, Alec Vextrom is a youngster who's got a lot of aggression, and he's going to tuck himself right off the right sponson of the boat. It's going to be a fantastic final finish here. These 2 give no quarter and don't take any quarter.
That's right, and of course this may give an opportunity for Terente to get back into the groove again, you know. He didn't seem to have an answer there, did he? But it's interesting. You could see Wexstrom trying to intimidate Rusty Wyatt there, pulling up alongside him, but trust me, I know him well, he ain't going to take any of that.
Yeah, these 2 drivers who are from countries that are huge with hockey. They love their sport of ice hockey, and they battle each other to the finish. We may see it here on the water today, not frozen water, but regular hot water. As we come up now and we take a look, will we get the green flag? We're back again, and we are... Well, he blew a whistle. And the green flag is out. Back they come, and here we go. Rusty Wyatt going down into turn number 1. As Ben Jelf now putting pressure on. He's trying to close up on Alec Vextrom.
Yeah, good turn by Jelf there into that number 2 turn, boy. He was making sure that Stefan Arand wasn't going to have any of it. Ken Jelf taking a little bit of a wide line there. Stefan Arand, is he going to swap to the inside? Is Ben going to keep it really tight there? Arand on the inside almost gets chopped off by Ben Jelf there, who takes a super line, still hanging on to that 3rd position. But as we speak, Wyatt in the lead, Wexstrom 2nd, Jelf in 3rd, and Stefan Arand pushing us all he can to get that position on the rostrum here this afternoon.
The top 4 drivers really young. They've only got about 2 years average in the game here, and they are making a statement today. The youngsters are really putting on a show as Rusty comes whistling by here. We check now the difference between 1st and 2nd and 3rd. Less than 4 laps to go now, 3 with 3.7 seconds. Ben Jelf is 5.5 back. Working on Jonas Andersson's boat, obviously having a real problem.
Yeah, they didn't know. I don't think they knew
Torrente
what was
keeps
wrong with
falling
it,
farther and farther as Torrente down in the 13th spot. Has Sean gone off? Take a look out here. There's Torrente, and looks like he is done for the day. So the return of the American three-time world champion was not what he had hoped for. It was not a dramatic return to the circuit. Instead, he is pulling out of the race, and he'll have probably no points here as we come through with just a couple of laps left to go. So as we look back on the race course, coming out of turn number 9, that's the difference in the top 3 as they come by.
Yeah, even Stevens at the moment there. Wyatt still leading, looking in good shape with 2 laps to go, Steve.
Yeah, there's Marit Stromoy. Different sounding engine that she's got that seems to be working better and better. She's up into that 5th spot. She's got to be pleased with a top 5 finish, Jonathan, if she can hang on to it. And she's trying to figure out a way to get around Stefan Arand, who's in that 4th spot. So as they come whistling down with less than 2 laps to go, it's just over 4 seconds on a great restart by Rusty Wyatt, who tore off. And you could feel the heat from Alec Vekstrom, but that's not going to happen right now, as Vekstrom is out of the picture at the moment. As look at the lead that Rusty Wyatt has put together as we look back for Vekstrom. There he is. This is a growing lead, and with less than 2 laps to go, could this be 2 years in a row for the Canadian to pull off a victory here on the final lap? Rusty Wyatt, with 7 turns left to go, around the right-hander he comes, heading up into turns number 4 and 5, Jonathan.
Yeah, done a great job out there, hasn't put a foot wrong all weekend, has he? And like you say, last year's winner looks like it's going to be this year's winner, although he's still got to get to the checkered flag. And I think now that Vekstrom in that 2nd place, he's got enough of a gap between him and Ben Jelf, the British driver, in 3rd, and so he's probably just backed off a little bit. He's quite happy that if he gets that 2nd spot, and believe me, I'm sure that Ben Jelf to get 3rd position, and he's been so competitive all weekend. Great job there from the young Brit.
All right, as he slides out toward the final turn, Rusty Wyatt heading down in toward turn number 9, trying to accelerate away, and he comes across and wins. Rusty Wyatt picks up his 4th victory, takes the lead, trimmed it down to about 4 seconds, but Jonas Andersson came to a complete stop, and he proves that he's human, because he hadn't been shut down in a long, long time. So.
No, and he had so much pace out there, didn't he, for the whole, well, not just for the race, but the weekend. I mean, he was so quick in qualifying and everything else, and really upset. Oh, and there we see Jonas's teammate obviously got a bit of a problem there as well.
Yeah, Johan Osterberg, the first-year rookie, getting his chance to race in his first race, and the boat looks like it's...
not the perfect end for Team Sweden.
No. Both drivers having a real hard time. Unofficially, he finished 12th. And, of course, they're taking back the Maverick boat, being hauled back in. And that's Cedric Deguine. He changed his engine before the race, as did Mansour Al-Mansouri, the rookie, and then Sami Celio, who had a tough day. He ended up finishing 11th, though. And so he came within a point or so of picking up a point. But Sami Celio charged up from the back. But Rusty Wyatt, what a day for him. Rusty Wyatt wins this race for the 2nd straight year in a row, his 4th of his career in just 7 starts. And who would have thunk, Jonathan? I mean, we weren't expecting this. We knew he could put a challenge on Jonas Andersson, but we didn't see it yesterday in the sprint race.
No, but you could see that he had the pace. The problem was getting off the start pontoon at the start of the race, and that's where Jonas seemed to have the upper hand on everybody this weekend. And that pole position, you know, it's the shortest run into the first corner. Of course, the other guys, they're further back, so they've got to make up a little bit of ground. But fair play, Rusty, 2 years running. We'd never heard of this guy until Indonesia last year. We'd heard of him, but we didn't know what he was capable of. And he came away with that first win last year, and boy, 2nd time round, another win. I gotta say, all credit to Scott Gilman and the Sharjah team. They put together a pretty strong package there going forward for the rest of the season, Steve.
Yeah, and I know it sounds corny, but these guys really like each other. I mean, the teammates are happy. It's it's kind of an environment where things are going with the flow and they get things done. There's not a lot of tension. There's not a lot of yelling. There's just just get the job done, and that's what they've been able to do. And Rusty is a typical North American kind of like yahoo, let's have some fun, and and his family is right there with him.
Yeah. And I think also when they were qualifying yesterday, I was talking to Scott, and he said, they should have maybe done a bit of this, but a bit of done of that. So he knew that they had a little bit more fuel in the tank, maybe if you call it that, to up the performance. So they were a bit disappointed in qualifying; they hadn't done better. But come the race, he really didn't put a foot wrong out there, did he? He pressurised Jonas. He was only 2 to 3 seconds behind him for the entire Grand Prix. So yeah. And also, maybe looking good going forward to China, because the next event in Shanghai, I mean, if it's the same venue as it was last year, it was rough out there, wasn't it? The conditions are rough, and that will definitely play into Wyatt's hands, because he's got that slightly longer boat, which doesn't accelerate quite so well. But once you get in the rough stuff, boy, he's dynamite.
Yeah, and it's so important to have the right setup, and for him, I mean, that's the same boat that Sean Torrenti won years ago in Doha in Qatar. Yeah. So it's once you find it, you're a boat builder. Once you find the correct hull combination, you don't chuck it up because it's a new year. You keep it and refine it.
Yeah, you develop, you make new boats, but you take a lot of time to actually introduce them onto the race circuit, and Rusty now, he spent a year in this boat, so he knows every single inch of the boat. He knows how it handles, he knows where he can gain, where he can't gain. He knows his propeller choice this year is a lot easier than what it was last year, and all those little ingredients, you find 100th here, 100th there, maybe a 10th here, 10th there, and that all helps in putting together the package that they've had here this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So the driver from Innisfil, Ontario, picks up the win, the first of the year, and then we start focusing on down the road here as we celebrate his victory. Just over a month's time, we'll be in China. It'll be the 30th Grand Prix that we've raced in China. I know you were there in the first one.
We were. One of my sponsors introduced Formula One powerboat racing to China. I remember that many years ago, and fortunately, we've been back there every year ever since. So it's a great place. Massive amount of passion, isn't it? Such big crowds that come to the event there. It's really good. But Steve, we haven't talked about maybe one or two of the other people a bit further down the field there. Stefan Arand, 4th position. He's got to be happy with that. And Stromoy in that 4-stroke in 5th. Got to be happy. She didn't have the best start, but she held her own during the event itself.
Yeah, I mean, she did a great job in charging her way up. I mean, she dropped down. She came back towards 6th where she started and then ended up finishing in 5th place. But yeah, the youngsters, as we talked about, I mean, Rusty Wyatt, he's a youngster. It's only his 2nd year. He's 30 years old. But Alec Vekstrom, who was a Rookie of the Year a couple of years ago, he's back after missing a year hiatus. And then you got Ben Jelf, who's only in his 3rd year. And looked like Alec Vekstrom set the fast time of the race. He did a 57.957. Congratulations for him for the finish star. And then, as you said, Stefan Arand, he's only early 20s, just graduating from college. And let's take a look at the final unofficial standings here that we have. And quite a day here, filled with surprises, and it took a while to jumpstart this event, but once it got going, it got great. So Rusty Wyatt wins this race. And that's his 4th career win in his just 7 starts. Alec Vekstrom finished in 2nd, Ben Jelf 3rd, Stefan Arand, a youngster, finishing in 4th, his best finish ever. Marit Stromoy in the top 5 for the first time in a while. It's good to see that. Grant Trask in the 6th spot. Alberto Comparato coming up, finishing 7th, so he's getting back into his groove. And then Damian Cohen, who really struggled with engine problems and so forth yesterday. He was behind the 8 ball, but he came up and charged up to 8th place. Congratulations to him picking up some points. Bartek Marzawak, the winner back in 2023. Sami Selio, the driver from Finland, finished in the 11th spot. He came all the way back up. He was way down in the 18th position. A rookie, Mansour Al-Mansouri, finished in the 12th spot. Johan Osterberg, another rookie, in the 13th spot. Cedric Deguin, veteran 14, Sean Torrenti, he's got to be pulling his hair out. He had a tough day. Jonas Anderson, of course, a surprise, a huge surprise. And then Alexandre Bourgeot in the 17th spot. Duarte Benavente dropping out. Eric Stark with Team Abu Dhabi going out after the crash with Peter Moran in that first corner. So right out in front of us, there you have it. For them, the boys in Canada, this is pretty warm water. They jumped in. It's about 25 C. And this is how they celebrate. He's excited. He's ready to go in. Yeah. Hey, you might as well make it dramatic, right, when you go in?
Yeah, and a couple of the crews there that have worked really hard in giving him this package this weekend, and what a great result there. The other thing I've noticed, Steve, is that, first and second, different Emirates. So we have the Emirate of Sharjah finishing this weekend in the top spot, and Wexstrom there for victory in that second. Be interesting to see what happened with Sean there, because he looked very, very strong at the start of the race.
I'll tell you what. We've seen the drivers in the standings so far, or how they finished today. Let's look at the team results. You mentioned team, Jonathan. Let's see how that all panned out here for us. There you go, Rusty Wyatt, and he puts himself in a position where these are driver championship points unofficially. Wyatt jumps to the front, and you've got Vekstrom with a good run yesterday and finishing second today. He's second. Colin Jelf, the UK driver, looking strong in third. And another youngster, you get a chance to see Stefan Aran in the fourth spot. Reed Stumway with 12, then Comparado, Grant Trask, and Jonas Anderson. He got 10 points because he won his heat yesterday, as did Torrente, so that kind of saved those guys. They're not, 29 points behind or whatever. And then Eric Stark, who struggled today after having a good day yesterday. Bartak Marzawak, Peter Moran, Sami Celio, all in single digits. As you'll work your way all the way down to Duarte Benavente, the driver from Portugal, who finished 10th yesterday and did not finish today. So, and let's take a look at the team results. Let's see how this all worked out here. And the boys in the truck doing a quick job here. Nice job. Sharjah team, number one. Interesting, the two UAE teams are 1-2 so far in this championship. The Atlantic team, surprising in the third place, but it's all about Ben Jelf so far. Reed Stromoy and the Stromoy Racing, 19. And then the China CTIC China team. And then Comparado, he picked up points today. And then Team Sweden, Team Abu Dhabi, which is another big surprise. They're way down in 8th. And then as you work your way down through Sami Celio's Red Devil team, and then the French Maverick team rounds out the points for the team championship. So there you go. A big surprise to start off the season. It's not like we didn't expect something. It wasn't like Rusty Wyatt was just coming out of nowhere like he did last year. Let's take a look at the highlights of the race as the thousands of people are gathering around getting ready for the podium celebration here along Lake Toba. And off we went, and yes, Jonas Anderson got the start he wanted, a perfect start as he charged off. And then, of course, the two victory team boats of Alec Vekstrom and Sean Torrente were right there with him as they all hit it down to the commitment buoy, which is about 480 meters down the road, and that's when all the mayhem happened as the boats fanned out, and they had to get around a very tight two-pin commitment buoy here. And there's Jonas. Watch in the middle of your screen, though. This is where all the mayhem happened, right there, as Peter Moran got together with Eric Stark, and the two went over. Stark went over the top of Peter Moran, and that took both of them instantly out of the race. A big surprise for Stark because we expected to see him pushing strongly for a championship. This is not the way you want to start a year. And thank heavens for his good run yesterday for him in the heat race. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah, just saw there, going back on that incident, might have been wrong there. It was so close between the Abu Dhabi boat and for that collision and the Team China boat. So, maybe we need to take a closer look at that to decide exactly what did happen, Steve.
Sure. So as they were cleaning up the carnage, and there you can see Peter Moran. Again, the safety factor here is so tremendous. And the green flag came out after about 7 or 8 laps, and off we went. and it was Jonas Andersson again getting the jump. But Alec Vekstrom right off his right hip, but Trente started to struggle a bit, and he got passed by Stefan Arand as the other Sharjah team boat went by him, and then Trente kind of drifted off. He was having problems. Obviously, probably a handling problem with the boat. It wasn't what he expected.
No, it was quite close between him and Arand there, on that corner, so whether it destabilized the boat a little bit for him, we don't know. We'll have to talk to him about it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, Torrente taking a hammering there, trying to get into that gap.
Yeah, as he was pushing to slide himself up, he tried to jam himself into that corner, and it just didn't pay off. And you can see the roughness of it as Ben Jelf took off and got out of clear water while Torrente was struggling to regain his speed again. Now, if we go back, here's Jonas Andersson with Rusty Wyatt. It was about 2 seconds and then 4 seconds when Jonas got away from some traffic, and then they closed it to 2, and then Jonas Andersson was about 3.5 seconds ahead. And then this happened in turn number 1. Wow, Jonas Andersson could feel the deja vu from last year. Guess what? He looks out and there's Rusty Wyatt for the second time in 2 years going, bye-bye now. And went right around him. And a big surprise because, as we said, Jonas Andersson's only dropped out of 2 races in the last 21 in his career. His reliability has been so good. And then the push for Alec Vekstrom on the restart really kept it honest for Rusty Wyatt. He could feel the heat from behind as the young Finnish driver, who's so talented and came over from go-karts to powerboat racing, has been so successful with the Victory team. So one half of the Blues brothers came home in second place overall, and Rusty Wyatt, for the second time in 2 years, came out, and he would take the checkered flag, flipping up the canopy and excitement. So it was Rusty Wyatt and Alec Vekstrom and Ben Jelf, the top 3. And you can see the Canadians hugging each other, knowing that they got the job done with 4-time world champion Scott Gilman, their team manager, and then oops, bye-bye now, as they pushed Rusty Wyatt into the water eventually as they took their parade lap around in celebration. You got cousins, you got brothers, you got a big family there, and they all jumped on the boat.
Yeah, and it's cool to see as well Sharjah that have had an event there since the 90s, but didn't have a team until fairly recently. And they must be really pleased. I mean, they are such a big part now, Sharjah, of the world of powerboat racing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the tens of thousands of people now pinch their way up toward the podium for the podium celebration. We wait in earnest to see if we'll get a chance to see the top 3 make their way up to the podium with Rusty Wyatt. There he is with Scott Gilman. Gilman, who's a strong boy, grabbing around the neck. Look at these guys.
Oh, they're well pleased, aren't they?
Yeah,
Fair play.
yeah.
Scott, he's always under so much pressure to get everything done, but he's such a laid-back guy, isn't he? He seems to take everything in his stride, and for all the pressure they've been under this weekend, we can see there.
Jonas talking with Eric.
Yeah. Eric's. Thank goodness he's okay. It was a tough one to call on that, what happened there, Steve, because there was a lot of spray everywhere, and, who knows? We'll have different people giving different opinions. You never know exactly.
That's a good way to look at
happen.
it. Yeah, we don't want to speculate and
exactly.
pick on one guy or the other. But, for us, as we like to say, it's just one of them racing things.
Yeah, it is. That is racing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go into that first corner at 130 mile an hour plus, and there's literally millimeters between each boat out there, you get a sudden sort of wash, bit of wind, whatever. It can alter the handling of the boat, and then, some people get away with it. They're lucky. It's a tough one, but nice to see Stark there with Rusty, congratulating him, and also, of course, with Jonas Andersson there, still with a big smile on his face. I mean, he's got to be happy, Steve. Goodness, I mean, how he's dominated for such a long time.
Yeah, and as they make their way toward the podium, you can see the winning Sharjah team marching toward the podium celebration. And when they finished first and fourth, Stefan Arand had to They were working on his engine this morning.
Yeah.
It wasn't a clean day for him. I mean, they had to work hard to get him up into that 4th place.
Yeah, and bear in mind that charger boat, it's only done a little bit of testing, you know. I was talking to Claudio, you remember, down on the pontoon there, having a chat with him about it, and he said we're making solid progress with the boat. We've done limited testing because after building the boat, we had to ship it out here fairly early on. So, you know, that boat is only going to improve, as is Aran, the driver, the young driver that you said has just finished university, so he's pretty young out there. And for him to take on the rest of this field, very experienced drivers, doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great addition. We've added 3 rookies to this starting lineup this year, but some of the drivers that arrived last year and the year before are very young, and they're really making a statement, as you see. Rusty Wyatt getting a hug.
With young Manu that
Yes.
controls the media center
Exactly.
for F1, so yeah, she's pleased for all of them as well.
Yeah, of course.
Sean there, he's got to be gutted, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you who isn't. You saw just going out of shot there, Ben Jelf, 3rd position today. Boy, he must be ecstatic with that, as you can see, throwing his
He should
arms
be.
in
It's
the
his
air.
first top 5, much less his
that's
first
cool.
podium.
That's cool.
Yeah. And you could see it. They were just, that team, that organization are just getting better and better race by race, and it's paying off. Their confidence is building up.
Yeah, and you say for Jelf there, you know, they're fairly calm and collected. You don't see much of them. They just get on with the job, and he's in good hands, you know, with his dad, who himself is a multi-world Formula 2 champion, so he knows his way around these boats.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's interesting to see how these people get into the world of Formula 1 powerboat racing, what the tradition is, what their families were like to get there.
Yeah.
And I know that Rusty Wyatt, he's his relatives were involved in powerboat racing, and he's got a Rourke Summerford Mod VP boat. He's got 2 of them actually out on the lake, and I went for a ride with him last year when I spent the weekend up there with him in northern Canada, and wow. Tell you what, you ride in the back seat of that thing and he's doing 109.
Yeah,
you know it.
I can imagine. And I believe he's got an aircraft as well, Steve. You've been flying with him recently?
Yeah, his brother Ray has. His brother Ray is here, and I think he was there in this shot. He's a little bit older, and he's a tremendous flyer. He loves that's his thing.
Yeah, and you were saying you went up on the lakes with them in Canada there, flying around.
Yeah.
Some beautiful scenery, right?
Yeah, he made me jump off like a 20-meter cliff into the water. Scared the bejesus.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, looking back at the race today, Steve, I mean, some of those midfield runners were a good surprise for us as well. I mean, Grant Trask there, you know, in that 6th position, he really held his own there, having only got into that boat like for the first time this weekend. So for Team China, I think he's done a really good job as well, as is so we got 2 Australians in the top 10. Damon Cohen, you know, finishing in that 8th position. He's got to be chuffed with that when you look at the competition that he's against out there.
Yeah, well, he was a tremendous racer in Australia. It's not like he's just jumped into a boat for the first time. He's got a lot of good championships, and an easy step into the cockpit for him, even though he's never done this before. And yeah, as we said, they started off slowly this weekend, and they were on the back foot, and they came there forward in a hurry, and they saved their best for last. So good for him, good on him, as they say.
Yeah, some of the officials there really excited about what they've seen this weekend, and you know, 3rd time back here. Remember the first time? My goodness, we had such bad weather. It was like in the ocean. So one of the ministers going out there now, Steve, I guess, to the stage to give out the trophies.
Yeah, we had the Minister of Sports that was here all weekend, and he was at the drivers' briefing yesterday, and he's quite a fan of powerboat racing, so that's really cool. That's good to have the local community and the national people. You know, we had the leader of the country come here, 2 years ago?
And you know what was good news as well? Last weekend, the organisers of this event put on a jet ski race, a World Championship jet ski race. My understanding is that a local 16-year-old Indonesian, he actually came away winning that race. So, you know, we've got the events here. Let's hope that one day we see a local Indonesian actually competing in Formula 1.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fantastic?
It be nice?
Yeah, that would really be nice. Yeah, and they went crazy. They went gaga with this guy winning, this little 16-year-old. the whole country went nuts over
Yeah,
it.
yes.
It was fun to see the highlights of that.
Yeah, that bodes well for the future, doesn't it,
Yes.
for powerboat racing in
Yeah.
this part of the world.
A lot of selfies going on, and I tell you what, you get a lot of attention here, Jonathan, when you're walking around. And that's the man who is person that runs the area. He's actually the governor here of this area, of northern Sumatra. So this is a huge island, and believe me, that's a lot of territory that he covers, and it's so important to have him on our side.
You said it, Steve. Going forward, he's a very, very important link within the chain, isn't he?
Yes.
So hopefully he's seen enough here this weekend. First time I think he's been here. Hopefully he's seen enough this weekend to say, okay, let's do a multi-year deal. Come back here, because it is a great place to race Formula One powerboats, isn't it? I mean, we spoke about the Sumatra region, and obviously it's a World UNESCO Heritage Site, and you know, it's just a great place to visit, isn't it? You know, there's so much going on. You can see every year we come back, tourism playing such a big part in this part of Asia.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we are moments away from starting the ceremony for the celebration of this Grand Prix as we kick off the new year, and we head off, as I said, in about 5 weeks' time. Jonathan, you and I will be in Shanghai, and that's always a treat to go there. Shanghai is a great city.
Yeah, we've been back there so many times. We've actually raced on the Bund, where they stopped all the water traffic for the Grand Prix. That was the first time it had been done in about 30 years.
2004.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
And, you know, we've got some other great venues in Shanghai. So I think everybody's pretty excited about moving to Shanghai, and possibility of another event in China as well. 2 Grand Prix there. And then Saudi Arabia from there. Saudi, we've been there before, but unfortunately the weather was absolutely terrible the last time. But they got a really exciting new venue there in Saudi, so another new event for us to go to in this neck of the woods, and looking forward to that as well.
It's great seeing Raimundo up there. He's the CEO of H2O Racing, helping out on the selfies. He's done that a few times. He's tall enough to where he can hold that phone out and get 15 people in the photo at the same time.
Yeah. And a big shout out to Niccolo De San Germano, president of F1 H2O, that's been so instrumental in Formula One powerboat racing for as long as I've been around. You know, he started at the beginning of the 80s. He got involved with the sport. He loved the sport so much. Eventually, you know, taking over F1. As he has done with a few other classes over the last decade, and you know, great to see that they're finding these new exciting events for us to be able to race in.
Yeah, he's not only my boss, but he's a good friend, and I think he's one of the nicest people on the earth. So I always get excited when I see him. He's a real class act, and you can tell by the way his lineage is. He's somebody you look up to. So,
yeah, he's not here this weekend, but a big shout out to him, and you know, we're all so glad to be back here.
So what do we got here? We got 2 Swedes and a Finn. You got an American behind him from California. Then you got a Canadian there, the guy who won the race, Rusty. There's his brother Ray over on the left. He missed him, the guy who's the flyer.
And I tell you what, it definitely hurt Stark today, you know, where he was starting. Because if you remember in the past, many Grand Prix, I mean, he and Jonas going into the first turn, boy oh boy, it's
side by each.
Aren't they just, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's little, I mean, they used to live together. You know, they used to share a house in Sweden for many years, so they're very, very big friends. And, you know, they're really, really competitive, these 2 Swedes. And I think had Stark been maybe not had some kind of technical issue, don't know what it was, he would have been a bit further up the field, and then all of a sudden the picture just changes, doesn't it? But that's what's nice about powerboat racing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the whole weekend. There's so many different aspects that you have to take into account to get onto that podium and eventually win a race.
It's not just you as a driver, it's your mechanics, it's your crew chief, it's the boat that you're racing, you know, the preparation over the winter.
There's a lot goes into this, you know, and it's finding the budget to put that team together, and that's where the Middle East is really strong, isn't it? Abu Dhabi got a team. The next emirate up is Dubai. They have a very strong team. We saw that today with Wexstrom. They're finishing second. You can see Stark now racing for Abu Dhabi, and then of course the other Emirate, Sharjah, which are not only sort of hosting a race, running a team, but now winning events, which is super, isn't it?
Yeah, no, totally. I wonder what the odds were for Rusty to win this race today, starting fourth.
Well, if you look back to last year, Steve, we would never have guessed that he would have won this race, his first race in Formula One. Knowing you knew him well, but I didn't know too much about him before he came here last year. Scott took a chance. He'd heard he was very, very strong, and he thought, okay, we'll take him on board in the team. We'll give him a chance. If he's up to it, he stays. If he's not, well, we may have to move on. But
Sure.
I think Scott's been very, very impressed with him from day one.
All right, we're just seconds away from the ceremony to kick off here as we salute the winners of not only the Grand Prix today, but the sprint races. And we will honor all of them that work their way up to the podium and get the dignitaries up on stage, and then off we go. So, you know what? You got to say, we've been sitting here. It's now 12:22 in the afternoon local time. The weather's been fantastic. I mean, there's no humidity. We were here in March last couple of years. It was hot. But here you would expect, you're 5 degrees north of the equator, and you would be hot and steamy in the summer. It's just the opposite, which I find tremendously interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, is that when you go to a Formula One car Grand Prix, the circuit is always flat. They can plan way ahead. They never have any issues. And I always remember reading an article about Niki Lauda, the great Formula One car driver, who had to go in a Formula One boat. And he said it was like driving a Formula One car across a plowed field. So that gives you an idea as to what the hammering these guys have when they're out on the circuit.
And I remember Hamilton, the Ferrari driver, 7-time world champion. I guess Sami threw him in a boat. Sami Sellian scared the Jesus out of him because you guys are nuts. And we've done that with Kenny Roberts, MotoGP world champion too.
Yeah, it's not an easy ride out there.
We would like to honor the winners of yesterday's sprint race. Sprint race awarding ceremony terlebih dahulu. Karena di hari Sabtu kemarin kita akan ada balapan dua, yaitu adalah sprint race 1 dan juga sprint race yang kedua. Okay, we would like to invite our the special guest. The first is Mr. Troy Waroka as the chairman Lake Toba GP, and then Mr. Raimondo from CEO S2O Racing. Boleh berikan tepuk tangan hadirin sekalian. Boleh berada di sebelah kanan, Pak. Izin. Dan saya akan langsung menepi di sini, hadirin sekalian. Langsung saja kita akan panggil untuk juara
Hats off to Raimundo. I'll tell you, he's been fantastic in his workmanship of really putting together races.
Yeah,
he worked hard on that race for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. And his dad said to me a few years ago, Niccolo, getting on a little bit now, doesn't want to quite do so much traveling, and so he said he's really going to take over the mantle from him and his two brothers, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah, Ben Jelf there, stepping up in third place.
And we have the first position with the team.
And this was yesterday's sprint race number 1. And Jonas Anderson defeated Rusty Wyatt yesterday.
Happy for winning that yesterday, but the main event today is what he wanted, wasn't it?
Exactly.
And he must be. He's been around such a long time. He accepts what happens, Some of the younger drivers would have been pretty torn up about it, but not Jonas.
No.
He knows. He's come from behind before, so don't count the guy out for the rest of the year.
Like they say, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. So he's he's only 10 points back, or 9 points back. So
first time we've seen a Brit there. Steve, for a few years on the podium. I think that's nice. At one time, the UK used to lead the world of powerboat racing in all sorts of classes. We used to have about 5 or 6 people, Jonas there, taking the accolades. But it's nice that it's nice to see a Brit on the podium again. Haven't seen that for many years.
Yeah. So and it was a huge factor with the Brits, and it was always the Brits and the Americans fighting, and then the Italians got involved too. It was really fun, and it was a question of not only drivers, but what boats do you design? Are you running a British boat? Are you driving an American boat? Are you driving an Italian boat?
Yeah.
And
it's definitely, in the UK, I've got to say, it's lost its way in the last number of years, which is a shame. But this may rekindle the spirit of people to get involved, because they can see it. If they work hard, this is where they can end up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And he's a good representative, a nice bloke. He's a good guy. Yeah. So here is the sprint race number 2. And there is Eric Stark, third in the championship last year, switching teams back to Abu Dhabi, first time in 7 years.
I think he's quite happy there, Steve, isn't he? I think so. He knows that he's in good hands.
He's been there before.
Things can happen. He's accepted that today, just like Jonas. And he's going to be this is a guy that watch out for him in the future. Great job.
He's very talented. He's just got, he dominated go-karting. Well, at least he gave him a good run in Europe with Lando Norris and, some of the other people. But
and the guy that's really upset this weekend, because when it comes to confidence, there's not many people who are more confident than Sean.
Yeah.
But what you see is what you get there, which is cool.
Well, he's still got 10 points.
Yeah, he's still we were saying yesterday, he's still a great asset to Formula 1 boat racing, because he
tells it like it is.
He doesn't
sugarcoat anything. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a great addition. Yeah.
Only Eric.
All right, Jonathan, so the big thing for us, what do we learn here today? We've learned that Jonas Andersson is not invincible. He had a problem. He broke down first time in over 2 years. And I think we're in store for a great championship.
I think you're right, Steve. It is so close at the sharp end. I think we're in for a good season ahead.
Off to China we go. That's coming up next. Hey, thanks for being with us today, and for my 24-year broadcast partner, Jonathan Jones, along with a tip of the cap to our very professional broadcast crew, saying it's always, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you may be at the moment, you've been watching the most exciting racing entertainment on water, the UIM Formula 1 World Championship. Up next, in just over a month's time, we'll be heading to China for back-to-back races in Shanghai and Zhengzhou the first 2 weekends of October. In the meantime, you can follow the tour by going to our official website at f1h2o.com and our Instagram and Facebook's accounts for all the latest news. Until then, enjoy your days, love your life, because life is always a journey to be savored. From the exotic country of Indonesia and beautiful Lake Toba, I'm Stephen Michael saying so long, everybody.
Download Tribun X sekarang, menghadirkan lokal menjadi